Okay, so I'm gonna try to make my own contribution to the group, and gonna show I can try to reutilize some of your old tanks and transform it so that you can use it quite a few times for printing. So these are the materials that you're gonna need. An old tank, a glass and tile scraper that you can get at Home Depot for about $5. I'm gonna change the bottom of the tank so that it has glass, and you want to use a borosilicate type of glass. This is from regular 3D printers, the filament ones, and you can buy this on Amazon. I got this one for about $10. The glass is a little bit bigger than the bottom of the tank, so you're gonna have to cut it, and then for that you're gonna need a glass cutter also. Okay, and the last part will be a silicone encapsulant. I ordered this Q-Sil 216. It was the cheapest one I found. It works well. You can use other types of clear silicone if you want also, and it should work. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna have to do is remove the silicone layer from your tank. I already started, and you can see where the problem was on this old silicone there. Okay, so this was removed, and the tank I had already cleaned it to make this a little bit quicker. And the next thing I'm gonna do is remove this acrylic bottom part there, and that's where it can get a little bit tricky. Okay, so to remove the acrylic bottom portion there, that clear acrylic, you want to keep the orange as intact as possible. And I have the scraper here, and what you want to do is you want to try to go underneath here carefully and just work your way around and start getting this so that it goes underneath. You're gonna hear some cracking sounds there. You gotta work all the way around so that you can get the glue off and try to remove it without breaking the orange portion. So I'm gonna go around all the way. Okay, so I went all the way around, and now you can see it's about at the last portion. You can just push it out a bit, and the acrylic part's out. Okay, the problem with acrylic is that it's easy to scratch, and obviously the resin kind of sticks to it a lot. So you also want to flip it over and then clean, because you're gonna have some excess of glue and silicone stuck in here. So you want to go around with the blade and then remove these excesses. Okay, so if you have access to one, I actually used the lab handpiece, and then I went around to clean it just slightly around the corners, and that did the job a little bit better than just scraping off everything. So now you can see the acrylic piece there. It's hard to see, but I got the glass there in the bottom. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace the size so that I can match it. Okay, so I marked it. I used the other one as a guide, and then you can get your glass cutter. You're gonna run all the way across. Probably want to watch some videos and train a little bit before you go to the actual size. The important part is that it's gonna make a sound when you're cutting it. So it's gonna sound something like that. So then you can make your cut. And they say you can grab it with your hand. I don't really like that idea, so I prefer to just use a plier, and then I'll hold one side and you're gonna bend it over. So just a second there. And that's one piece. Okay, so I use the diamond burr to round sort of the edges a little bit. Doesn't have to be really perfect. It's just the ones that were like pointy and I don't really want to cut myself, so that part is done. So you can see that the glass is gonna fit there well. Okay, and what you gotta do now is glue it in there. And so I'm gonna use this professional grade super glue. You can use any cyanoacrylate glue that you want, and I'm just gonna run it around the edges there, and I'll let it dry overnight. So just gonna apply the super glue. Use plenty of it, just go around the whole thing. Okay, so I place the super glue all around, and then fit this there. So put some kind of weight over it to keep it overnight, and I'm gonna run some super glue again here on the sides to try to seal that a little bit better. Okay, so after the glue is set, you can run your glass scraper around the edges. I already removed the excess glue, and don't be afraid because you won't scratch the glass. So you can just run around, remove all the excess, and you got to make sure the surface is really clean. And you can also remove some of the excess glue on the back portion to level it. So just scrape out everything and clean it well. And because it's glass, you don't have to be afraid to use alcohol, or I also use a window cleaner to make sure it's really clean, and then we'll get ready for the next step. The next step, if you have a precision scale, is gonna make your life easier. And you're also gonna need some disposable cups and a disposable knife. So let's go ahead and zero this out. And you're gonna need about 110 grams total to recoat the surface of the tank. And this stuff is a 10:1 ratio, so you're gonna need about 100 grams of part A and then 10 grams of part B, and that should be enough. Okay, so pour part A in first until you reach 100. Okay, so we're at 100 there, and then you're gonna add 10 more of part B. All right, so we're at 110, and then you're gonna mix this stuff very well for about 2 minutes. Okay, so after 2 minutes there of stirring, you want to go ahead and pour this in the tank. And you also want to make sure that the tank is on a flat surface. Otherwise, you're going to have some discrepancy on the level of the silicone layer there. So then you want to rock this a little bit side to side so that you get all the corners covered. And just let it flow. So that it reaches everywhere. And then you can just let it sit. If you have any big bubbles, you can just pop those and get rid of them. The tiny ones should disappear after a bit. This stuff takes about 48 hours to set, so you just gotta let it sit there for quite a bit and leave it alone, and that should do the trick. Okay, so this has been sitting for about 2 days. It's ready. You can see that most of the bubbles disappeared. I have one spot that I wish it was a tiny bit better. Right there, you can see a little bubble right here. But other than that, it's pretty sturdy. And you can see that it's also pretty clear. And it's all new again. And from now on, you don't have to change your glass. All you gotta do is remove the silicone later when it's bad, and you got a brand new one.